Good morning, student. I hope all of you are well at your home. And today we will discuss about the history third chapter, the Jainism and Buddhism. So before we will discuss about the Jainism and Buddhism, we will just see the backgrounds and on which situation or what kind of conditions these religions were emerged in the Indian subcontinent. So you know that in the 6th century BC, in 6th century BC, the Aryan settlements expanded towards the east and accompanied by the rapid socio-economic and the political changes. And society in some places was organized by the tribal peoples, in some places by the kingdoms. Next is the people in later Vedic period or age began to use the implements that made up by the iron, and that helped them to expand their agricultural activities as well as that helped them to grow enormous crops because the tools they use to bring more and more land under the cultivation, and that gave them the surplus grains, and that surplus produce could be utilized by the king for the raise of military as well as for administrative purpose. And all these advantages enable the people to lead a settled life in the life and expand it further in the neighboring states, neighboring areas. So the expansion resulted it wars between the different tribes when they led a settled lifestyle that helped them or encouraged them to extend their territories further in the cost of the other state or other areas or other territories. So that is why there was a constant war against each other, and that result, the larger and more powerful tribes that defeated the smaller tribes and expanded their territories and created the large kingdom, and the kingdoms were called Janas or Janapadas. And the Janapadas were further expanded, joined with more Janapadas and formed the Mahajana Padas. And there was 16 Mahajana Padas at that time. Like Kasi, Koshal, Kuru, Panchal, Batsha, Avanti, Magadha, etc. So now in 6th century BC, in worldwide, many thinkers were born, like Zoroaster. So many thinkers were emerged in different parts of the world in 6th century BC, like Zoroaster, Zoroastrian in Persia, then Confucius in China, then Gautam Buddha, Mahavira. They all born, these two thinkers born in India. So now next is this new thinkers, new sects actually posed a challenge to the orthodox religious belief, and this Jainism and Buddhism emerged as a most potent religious reform movement in India. Now we will discuss about the sources which provide information about the Jainism and Buddhism. The sources. There are three sources which provide the information about the Jainism and Buddhism. Number one, Angas. Number two, Tripitakas. And number three, Jatakas. So first we will discuss about the Angas. So what was Angas? It was actually generally accepted that whatever Lord Mahavira taught after gaining the enlightenment or omniscience, and that were compiled by his disciples in the 12 parts, and which are popularly known as the Angas. So first and foremost, Angas was called the Acharan Sutra, and the another one well-known Angas was called Bhagavati Sutra or Bhikya Pragnapti. So first is Acharan Sutra that deal with the code of conduct which a monk is required to follow, and the Bhagavati Sutra or Bhikya Pragnapti that deal with the comprehensive manner based on the the Jain doctrines in a comprehensive manner. Next, based on this Angas, the seers also compiled a 12 auxiliary work, 12 auxiliary work which came to be known as Upangas. Now next is, it is said that these Angas and Upangas were not written by long time and it was orally passed from one generation to another generation. Now next, the Angas are regarded as one of the most important source which provide information about the Jain doctrines. And they discuss the religious rites, stages of the household life, as well as the vows of the chastity, not only that, as well as the rule of conduct, etc. Now next source is the Tripitakas. So Tripitakas are the most important literary work and which provide the information about the Buddhism. So what was Tripitakas? That means three baskets of the Buddhist canon. Three baskets of Buddhist canon. And the earlier writings of these texts were taken on a long, narrow leaves seaweed together on one side and then bundled in a branches and kept where in a baskets. And now we will see the three Pitaka's name. Number 1, Vinay Pitak, Sutta Pitak and Abhidharma Pitak. So first is Vinay Pitaka. Vinay Pitaka deal with the rules and regulations which Buddha promulgated for the monks and the nuns to be followed. But beside it, it also gives us the Buddha, the life and the teachings of Buddha, as well as the important aspects of the ancient Indian history. Next, number 2, second Pitaka was Sutta Pitaka. Sutta Pitaka actually comprises the discourses of Buddha on various occasions as well as the discourses of his disciples. Some of the important disciples such as Hariputra, Ananda, etc. Next, number 3. Number 3 is Abhidharma Pitaka. Abhidharma Pitaka, it deals with the Buddhist philosophy and it described the things like the working of the human minds and the states of matter. Next is, beside this, they also provide the information about that period during the Buddha's period, social, economic and the political situations. Next is another important source is Jataka. So Jataka refers to the tales which describe the previous births of Buddha in a human forms as well as the animal forms. So each tales begins by noting the occasion that they prompted its telling and end with Buddha identifying the lives of the people in the introductory story with such people from the past. Next is the future Buddha may be appear in them as a king, or outcast, or a god, or an elephant, etc. And in whatever form he exhibits some virtue that the tale thereby highlights. Next, apart from this, the Jataka's tales also threw the lights on the social, political and the economic conditions of the people at that time. Next we will discuss about the causes for the rise of Jainism and Buddhism. There were many causes behind the rise of Jainism and Buddhism. Like number 1, the reaction against the ritualism, corruption in the religion, then there's rigid caste system, difficult language, political situation. Number 6 is the agricultural economy. There were many causes. We will discuss few. So first we will discuss the reaction against the ritualism. So religious ceremonies by then had become very expensive and beyond the means of ordinary people. And some priests hardly realized the sufferings of the common people. And this was one of the important reason or cause that gave the rise to a new religion, which are simple and inexpensive. Next is number 2. Number 2 is the corruption in religion. So corruption crept into the religious practices. In order to extract more money, the priest encouraged the people to conduct the yajnas and sacrifices. And during yajnas and the sacrifices, the common peoples as well as the rich people, they provide a lot of things, and that the Brahmins are actually get all these things. So Kshatriya rulers protested against such kinds of dominance of the Brahmins and such practices, yajnas and the sacrifices, and the common men could not reconcile to this concept or attitude of the priest, and that gave the rise of the new religion, Jainism and Buddhism. Now next is another one called the rigid caste system. So the divisions the society into the Brahmins, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas and Sudras had become very rigid. So it did not allow any social mobility, as well as a person of one caste could not become a member of another caste, as well as there was also restriction on the basis of caste over the foods, drinks, and the marriage, intercaste marriage was also impossible at that time. Next is number 4. Another one cause for the rise of Jainism and Buddhism is the difficult language. But the Sanskrit was considered as the most sacred language, and most of the Vedic literature was composed in the Sanskrit, and the priestly class gave the discourses as well as chanted mantras during yajna sacrifices in Sanskrit, and which was actually goes beyond the understanding of the common people. So that is why they wanted some religion that could preach in their own language, so the people could understand very well. Next is another one reason for the rise of Jainism and Buddhism, the political situation. In the 6th century BC, we are talking about the 6th century BC, and at that time Magadha was ruled by Bimbisara, and by the later his Ajatasattu. So these rulers were the liberals and the tolerant toward the other religions, so they too were free from the Brahmanic influence and condemned the certain social evils, and they promoted. And when the opportunity came, then they patronized the Jainism and Buddhism. So these were the main reason behind the rise of Jainism and Buddhism. Now next we will discuss about the Jainism and the teachings as well as the doctrines. Which the doctrines of the Jains were preached by the saints or the acharyas, and they were known as Tirthankaras. And before Mahavira there was 23rd Tirthankaras, and Mahavira was the 24th Tirthankara. Who was the first Tirthankara? First Tirthankara was Rishabhadev, and the 23rd Tirthankara was Parshvanath, and Mahavira was 24th, but he was considered the real founder of the Jainism, because after him the Jainism actually get the momentum. Now next we will discuss about the teachings of Jainism. Teachings of Jainism. Jainism did not accept the authority of the Vedas, and Jainism preached the 5 vows, and it was considered these 5 vows added with the Jainism by this Mahavira. So first, what are the 5 vows? Number one ahimsa or non-violence. Then number two asatya or not stealing. Then number 3 satya, that means not telling lie. Next aparigraha, that means not possessing property. Number 5 is the brahmacharya, that means practicing chastity. Next is the 9 truth of Jainism. Which beside the 5 vows, other 9 truth, the general doctrines of Jainism, the Jains are actually expected to have the knowledge about this 9 truth. What are this? Jiva, then punya, pap, etc. Next is the main doctrines of Jainism. There are main doctrines like 3 Ratnas, then karma, equality, then eternal soul, salvation, belief in the heart penance, etc. So first we will discuss about the 3 Ratnas. Which Mahavira preached that the ultimate goal of a man is to attain moksha or nirvana or salvation, and that could be achieved by following these 3 Ratnas, or 3 jewels are called 3 Ratnas. That means right faith, right knowledge, and the right conduct. Right faith, right knowledge, and right conduct. Next is karma theory. So Jain also believe in the karma theory of the Hinduism. That means one should be responsible for one's own karma or action. Good deeds can give you a better life, or can give you a get rid from the cycles of birth and rebirth or death. Next, number 3, equality. So Mahavira also laid the stress on the equality between the men and women, as well as between the men of different religion, different caste. So he preached the universal brotherhood. He preached the universal brotherhood and considered the all men are equal, irrespective of their caste, creed, etc. Next is number 4, the eternal soul. The Mahavira believed in the immortality of the soul. That means he states that the body dies but the soul never. Next is number 5. Number 5 is salvation. Just now I said the salvation means, like Hinduism, Jainism also believe in salvation. That means if you want to get rid from these cycles of birth and death, or birth and rebirth, etc. So that is the main aim or goal of the human's life. That means salvation or moksha. Next, belief in penance. But the Jainism believed in the penance, and to die or salvations called the Santhara or Salekhana was considered a virtue, or Jainism like so much stress on severe penance that very few people could lead such a tough or hard life. So that's it, the Jainism, what is in our syllabus. And spread a little bit about the Jainism was actually spread within the country. It do not spread the outside India. Like Koshala, Magadha, Mithila, Champa, etc. No need to more read anything more beyond this about Jainism in your class 9 syllabus. Next we will discuss about the decline of Jainism. What was the reason behind the decline of Jainism? Well, number 1, Jainism preached the rigid austerity, that means the hard penance, etc. And it rose at the time when the Buddhism also existed, and Buddhism never tell about the hard austerity. Next is number 2. The religion did not spread to the foreign land or foreign countries, and it was one of the reasons for the decline of Jainism. Next is number 3. Number 3, the Jainism did not get any royal patronage from the contemporary rulers. Next is number 4. Number 4, though the Jainism advocated equality of men, but it did not do away with totally away from the caste preferences. So next, so these were the reason for the decline of Jainism. Next we will discuss about the Buddhism. So Buddhism, Gautam Buddha was the founder of Buddhism, and he belonged to a Kshatriya clan of Shakya, and according to a legend, he was born on 563 BC at Lumbini near Kapilavastu. So in his early life, he never faced any kinds of problems in his life. So even he also never went to outside his home. Then he led a very luxurious life, never faced any sufferings, problems, etc. And then he was married to a princess Yashodhara and had a son named Rahul. Then one day his chariot driver took him to visit the whole territory. Then he noticed 4 important incidents. And that 4 incidents or site was popularly known as the 4 great sites. 4 great sites. What? Number 1. Number 1, he saw an old man bent with the age and goring with the pain. Next, number 2. Number 2, the dead body, a man being carried for cremation. Next, third he saw a man was sick. Next number, he saw a third sick man. Next, number 4. Number 4, he saw a man was sitting under a tree, finding a salvation. Finding a salvation. He was a kind of ascetic. So these are the 4 sides. Again, I am telling. First, he saw an old man bent. Next, number 2, a sick man, he was going with the pain. Number 3, a dead body was carried by some people for cremations. And number 4, he saw a that means a sannyasi sitting under a tree. So these 4 great sights made or changed the Buddha's life forever. That night he didn't sleep. He always thought for the sufferings of the people and always tried to get the answer how to solve these problems, these sufferings. Next, so he left his home, his wife, his son, and went to search the answer of these sufferings. Many years he moved from one place to another place for getting the answer. Next, after that he attained enlightenment at Bodh Gaya in Bihar, and from then onwards he began to be called the Buddha or the enlightened one. Next is Dharma. Next is Dharma Chakra Pravartana. After attaining the enlightenment, Buddha first delivered his preach in or sermon where in Sarnath. He delivered the first sermon at Sarnath near the Varanasi in the presence of the ascetics, presence of the 5 ascetic, and that incident in history was popularly known as Dharma Chakra Pravartana. Next is Dharma, the teachings of Buddhism. Teachings as well as we will discuss the doctrines of Buddhism. So first, the teachings. Buddha followed a simple path and inspired the people to lead a very simple life. So he also preached that if people want to get the moksha or want to attain the nirvana or moksha, then they should follow a 8-fold path and accept the 4 noble truths. So what are the 4 noble truths of Buddhism? Very, very important. Number one, the world is full of suffering. Number 2, the suffering has a cause. Next, number 3, a desire is the cause of suffering. And number 4, if desire stops, so we can stop the suffering also. Next is the 8-fold path, the way to nirvana. If we want to achieve in the salvation, moksha, that means to get rid from these cycles of birth and death, etc. Then we have to follow the 8-fold path. What are the 8-fold path? Right action, right thought, right belief, right speech, right effort, right recollections, and the right meditation. Next is attitude towards God. Buddha held that the whole universe was controlled by the dharma. So, universal law. Dharma is the universal law, and he was silent about the existence of God. And he never denied its existence. Next is the code of conduct. Code of conduct. So, Buddha formulated a code of conduct that for his followers to follow in their everyday life. Like number 1, not to tell lie. Number 2, not to own property. Number 3, not to commit violence. Number 4, not to indulge any corrupt practices. As well as these are the important code of conduct. Now next is the karma. Same for like Buddha, Jainism as well as Hinduism. But Buddha insists, or actually Buddhism believed in the theory of karma. That means the man is the maker of his own destiny and believe in a rebirth. So your next birth depends on your action in this life. They believe that. Next is number 2. Number 2 is the morality. Number 2, morality. So Buddha insisted on the life based on the good action, and his followers were enjoined to practice non-violence and the lead and upright life. Next is number 3, nirvana. Nirvana means the moksha or salvation or get rid from these cycles of birth, rebirth or death. And if anyone to get this, then they should follow the 8-fold path. Next is number 4, the universal brotherhood. Universal brotherhood Buddha preached the universal brotherhood of mankind. He wanted that the people live in peace and setting aside all their problems, differences. So that is why he invited all the peoples of different classes and races to join Buddhism. Next is number 5, Ahimsa. Ahimsa, like Mahavira, Buddha also attached into the importance and as well as the sanctity of the life and followed the Ahimsa or non-violence. Next is the similarities. So before that, we will discuss about the decline of. Before we will discuss about the decline, I just want to tell you the Buddhism was also divided into two sections, were called Hinayana and Mahayana. And Jainism also divided into two. One was Digambaras and another one Siddhambaras. Now next is we see the similarities between the Jainism and Buddhism. Both the founders of these religions belongs to Kshatriya clan. Next, number 2, they also stress on Ahimsa, both the religion. Number 3, they also stress on the karma, means the people's next life depends on his action, as well as the monks and the nuns of Buddhism and Jainism had renounced the family life and laid their life for the sacrifice of the peoples, for the service of the humanity. So these are the similarities of Jainism and Buddhism. Next is dissimilarities between the Jainism and Buddhism. It was first is Jainism. It had been founded much before the Mahavira, and Buddhism was founded by Gautam Buddha. Next is number 2. Jainism followed the hard penance, and Buddhism followed the simple, or that means the middle path. Number 3. Jainism was confined within India. It didn't spread outside India, but Buddhism was mainly spread outside India. So these are the differences between the Jainism and Buddhism. Now next we will discuss about the decline of Jainism and Buddhism. There were many reasons for the decline of Jainism and Buddhism. Number 1 in the split in the Buddhism. Number 2, language. Number 3 is the corruption in Sanghas. Number 4, reforms in Hinduism, as well as invasions, end of royal patronage, etc. There was a lot of causes for the decline of Buddhism. So number 1 is the split in the Buddhism. The divisions of Buddhism into Hinayana and Mahayana sect brought about the many changes in the Buddhism, and it was considered one of the important reasons for the decline of Buddhism. Next, number 2, second point was the language. Buddha preached his language teachings in a Pali language, and after his death, Sanskrit, the language of the upper classes, also came to be adapted. So that was another one reason. Next is number 3, corruption in Sangha. The monks and the nuns started a very luxurious life, but in initial times, or first in beginning, they led a very exemplary life, but later on in the course of time they become corrupt as well as led a very luxurious life, and there was a deterioration in the spiritual life. And Buddhist Sanghas also received the patronage of the royalty and had become a very rich, and that was also another one reason for the decline of Buddhism. Next is the reforms in Hinduism. The reform movements in Hinduism started with the full vigorous ones of appeal of the new religious vanished, and the Hinduism assimilated to the positive aspects of Buddhism, and even the foreign invaders and the others adopted the Hinduism, and that was also another one considered another one reason for the decline of Jainism and Buddhism. Next is the end of royal patronage. The Rajput rulers were warlike and could not follow the policy of Ahimsa, and beside that, kings of Gupta, they patronized the temples in the honors of the Hindu gods and the goddesses, and due to the lack of royal patronage, the Buddhism also lost its momentum and finally declined from India, but in few but still present. So thank you, student. I hope all of you understand. So till then, stay at home and stay safe. Okay.